Brother lads, welcome back to the Kosi Arsenal podcast. My name is Kosi. Welcome back to brand new video. Big breaking news. Edu has decided to step down as Arsenal sporting director. This is just coming in as confirmed by Sky Sports. Edu will not be Arsenal sporting director any longer. He leaves his position with immediate effect. There is a lot of rumors going on onto where he's leaving and where he's going. A couple of sources saying that he's going to be joining the group of clubs that has Nottingham Forest and Olympiacos, the Evangelis Marinakis. But the big, of course, breaking news in terms of the Arsenal fraternity, in terms of the Arsenal community, is that our sporting director, the sporting director that has spent about 5 years at Arsenal, he appointed Mikel Arteta. He has been the reason as to why Arsenal have been able to rebuild a squad with the likes of Declan Rice, with the likes of Martin Odegaard. Julian Timber has now left Arsenal with immediate effect. Arsenal have not yet drawn a shortlist of who's going to come in. According to Sky, this has taken the team by surprise. This has taken the team by storm, and therefore we do not have a list of candidates who are going to be next sporting director. I want your thoughts. I want your opinions about this. Do you think this is good news for Arsenal, for Edu to leave right now? I mean, he's had a disastrous, catastrophic last transfer window. He did so well, in my opinion, but in terms of incomings, he didn't buy a striker. Was this because of Mikel Arteta and what he told him? I don't know. Probably yes, probably no. But the big question: does this leave Arsenal in a bad situation, or does this leave us and put us in a better situation where we can go out there, get a much better sporting director, get a guy that is ruthless in the market, a guy that can go and sell a lot of this deadwood that we still have at the club, the likes of Raheem Sterling, the likes of Gabriel Jesus, Alexander Zinchenko? Do we get a sporting director now that is ruthless enough to tell Mikel Arteta, listen, if you want to go forward, if you want this team to go forward, you've got to get rid of these guys. You've got to get rid of Zinchenko. No need to keep him around. You're not going to use him that much, and he's on big wages. Get rid of Gabriel Jesus. You're not going to use him that much, and get a striker that is really, really a striker. Kai Havertz is a failed midfield project, not a number 9. I want your thoughts. I want your opinions. Big story, big breaking news. Edu leaves Arsenal this morning. It's a sensational story because no one expected it, no one saw it coming, and he leaves at a time when the team is really in turmoil. He lives in it at a time when we're having really bad results. People are already saying Mikel Arteta out. And we thought actually that this morning we were going to be talking about Mikel Arteta and his decisions and whether Arsenal really need to find a different manager, and whether Edu needs to look into the portfolios out there and find a different manager, a different profile from Mikel Arteta. Edu has left before Mikel Arteta, and he's the guy that has been backing Mikel Arteta. He's the guy that has been working hand in hand with Mikel Arteta to make sure that everything works really, really well. Remember, Mikel Arteta has not yet signed his new contract. He's not yet put pen to paper on that new contract. So does that mean that if this season goes south, if this season goes bizarre, we could see Mikel Arteta leaving together with Edu in the same year? Let me know. I mean, thoughts, opinions in the comment box below. It's a crazy morning. It's a crazy story. The first thing I want to say to Edu is thank you, and thank you very much. Now, there are a few people out there that think Edu has been part of the team that has spoiled Arsenal, that has dealt huge blows to the club. I do not think so. I think when Edu came in at Arsenal, this was a club that was in decline, and I think decline is just an easy way. It's just a simpler way for us to describe Arsenal in 2019, Arsenal in 2018, 17, 16. Arsenal were beyond a club in decline. We were a club that no manager wanted to manage. We were a club that couldn't get a correct decision. We were a club that couldn't, get anything right. And Edu decides to come in. Of course, ex-Arsenal player wanted to come in and make a difference. And he's going to be proud of this work. And this Arsenal team is going to be proud of the work he has done, regardless of whether there are people who think that he has not done a good job. So he comes in, and the first thing he does, he looks into the culture, he looks into the squad, and those are the first two things he does. He looks for a manager that can work on the culture, that can correct the culture and mentality of the team. And then he has also gotten rid of a lot of deadwood that was left behind by the likes of Steven Mislintat, Ivan Gazidis, and Arsene Wenger. So for me, that's why I want to say thank you. I can look into an Arsenal squad that has players of real quality. Calafiori is real quality. Saliba is real quality. Gabriel Magalhaes is real quality. Julian Timber is real quality. David Raya is real quality. Rice, Partey, Odegaard. That's real quality out there. Yes, Saka is not, of course, it's not his project, but Saka is real quality as well. We can look at an Arsenal squad that has 11 quality players, and 9 or 8 of these quality players have been brought by Edu. So that is why I've got to say thank you. And I've got to say thank you to Edu, because as an Arsenal fan, I remember that this channel was all about raging, in the early days. You remember, we were talking about Mikel Arteta out, sack this manager, get this player out. That was the state of this channel. That was the state of the Arsenal fan base. We were angry, we were always bitter. Edu came in and he just corrected the culture around the fans, around the players, around the Emirates Stadium. And you can see that there is a fighting mentality, there's a dying mentality, and Arsenal have been trying to fight to win a title in the past 3 years. That is not easy. That is not easy for you to get a club and, bring it out of the dust and take it to a level where every single year you're expected to fight and win silverware. So I think he's done an incredible job when it comes to raising Arsenal out of the dust. He's done an incredibly difficult job, a job that only a guy who loves Arsenal, who knows what this team is, could have done. I mean, the best of the best have been here. I've just done a documentary on Ajax, and I was talking about Steven Mislintat and his profile. Steven Mislintat was at Arsenal, and maybe by the time he was there, things just didn't go well, and the club structure didn't favor him and didn't give him the opportunity to do the job. But all in all, one of the best sporting directors and one of the best footballing people, Ivan Gazidis and Steven Mislintat, were here at Arsenal, and it was dark days. And Edu comes from Brazil, not regarded as one of the best sporting directors down there. He comes into the job, does incredibly well, and really brings Arsenal out of the dust. I'm happy. I'm grateful. I wish him all the best for that. However, I think it was time for Edu to leave. And this is, for me, there are two reasons, right? First and foremost, I wanted him to stay at least for one more year. But I also think he's leaving at the right time. Let me explain. Look at last summer. Last summer, Arsenal bought late, and we bought very poorly. Very, very poorly. And I remember saying that the problem with Edu, for me, is he's got this limitation. He's a limited sporting director. After buying Declan Rice for 100 million, and I tell you, Declan Rice's deal is easy because he's coming from West Ham, he's coming to London, and he's just crossing over. So it's a much easier deal for a player who wants to stay in London, for a player who wants to, be part of another club in London. And for a player you're buying from West Ham, despite the fact that it is a 100 million pound deal. Why I think is limited is after Declan Rice, Arsenal had to go in for the likes of Kavica Kvaratskhelia. You need a power winger. We had to go for the likes of Nico Williams. We had to go for the likes of Victor Osimhen. We had to go for the likes of... It is now time for Arsenal to go and challenge for players at the big stage. Because we're going to be challenging for silverware at the biggest stage. Champions League, Premier League, Intercontinental Cups. That is where Edu is limited. I don't think he is the kind of sporting director that is going to get you a Rafa Leao from AC Milan at 100 million pounds. Now he can get a player from Bologna for 50 million, but can he really get a player like Dusan Vlahovic from Juve? I mean, you look at the transfers that he has lost out to these big clubs. There is a trail of failure there. That's number one. Number two, with Edu, you can't sack Mikel Arteta. I don't think that Edu was ever going to wake up and say bye-bye to Mikel Arteta. I don't think that, and I'm not saying that Mikel Arteta is not under enough accountability. I don't think Mikel Arteta is not under enough scrutiny. What I'm trying to say is that him hiring Arteta comes in as the manager that Edu believed in through and through. And he was going to give him all the time. He was planning on giving him a 3-year deal, maybe 2 more years. I don't have a problem with Mikel Arteta staying as Arsenal manager. Not a problem. I'm still Mikel Arteta in. But I want a sporting director. I want a guy above Mikel Arteta. And that guy doesn't really care who Mikel Arteta is and who brought him and how he came here and what he has done. It's about winning. If you cannot select the best 11 out of the players you have right now, and if you cannot really give us real quality, then it's much better, right? It's much better for you to say goodbye. So Edu is leaving, and I think those are the two positives I can pick out, but mainly it's negative. So the question for me, the real question becomes, what do Arsenal do, right? What do we need in a replacement for Edu? Who should come in, right? I think those are two very good questions, because I've seen Manchester United. Man United, after appointing the correct people, Dan Ashworth and a couple of other, blocks, they've now started making good footballing decisions. They're bringing in, they've sacked Eric Ten Hag. And this is what I'm saying, that you need a sporting director that can come in and say, listen, Eric, you have got a very good vision here, but this team is not going in the right direction, leave. So I need a guy that can come in and tell Edu, and tell Mikel Arteta, you've got a very good project here, and you've got a very, very good, vision, but the team is not going in the right direction. We're going to have to part ways, right? So for me, I think, again, I don't know if there is a chance that Arsenal could go and get, maybe Monty. Is he now at Aston Villa, or did he stay at Sevilla? If we can go and get him, or probably look, I love Steven Mislintat. I love the job he's done at Dortmund. But again, my problem with Steven Mislintat is he's the kind of guy that has always spotted talent and groomed it. I think we need a sporting director that is a master at getting these big deals done. I think we need a guy like that, right? So it's going to be very interesting who comes in. Now, the timing of the Edu departure is disastrous, catastrophic. One, you have Mikel Arteta, who is now going to be unsure of his future. That's number one. Two, you have a team that is struggling. And one of our key guys, one of the key people that have been, behind building this Arsenal brand, building this Arsenal project, is gone. So the question, I think, becomes, are we going to see the project crumble? Or is it a sustainable project that without Mikel and without Edu, it's going to stay intact? Because I'm going to tell you this. Edu leaving puts a big possibility on Mikel Arteta's departure. I won't be surprised if Mikel Arteta doesn't last at Arsenal beyond this year. And the problem with that is that we have built this team not around a structure, but around a man, and that man is Mikel Arteta. I think if you brought in a manager like Unai Emery, if you brought in a manager like, I don't know, I don't know very many good managers, Angel Nagelsmann, maybe. If you brought in a guy like that, I don't think Nagelsmann is going to use Calafiori and Ben White at trade back. I don't think so. I really don't think so. That is Mikel Arteta's mind. I don't think that Nagelsmann is going to use Mikel Merino in midfield. Like, he's not bad, but why would I use Mikel Merino if I could go and get a Fabian Ruiz, who's a much better midfielder? No question about that. Like, not every manager wants his team huge. Not every manager wants his team to be very tall. That's what I'm talking about. So you might have to spend another 600, 700 million for you to feed into the fantasies and the ideas of a new manager. Just what Brighton have done. Brighton had built a very good squad, under De Zerbi and under Graham Potter. But when they bring in a new manager in this guy that has just come in from German, they've just gone and spent huge amounts of money on different players, and that's what the new manager does. A new manager doesn't really care if you've spent hundreds of millions on other managers. He wants his project and he wants money to spend on it. So Edu is gone. I want your reactions. I want your thoughts. We'll continue covering the story. Who's coming in? What does this mean for Arsenal and Mikel Arteta and the project? Good morning.